we always say that rather than focusing on the problem, you focus on, you know, reflecting and focusing on how can we change things? What are we doing to, and rather than focusing on the problem child, you know, and it gets so negative based, but rather to reflect, okay, how was my reaction in this situation? What can I have done better to help this child and support him in where he is now, rather than just getting frustrated at a child who's not listening or whatever it is, you know.
Sarah, you mentioned observation, and I think it's a very important point, because if we don't have enough time to observe and we don't put it into our routines, it's difficult. It's difficult on a daily basis, so it needs to be planned. Observation must be planned, and we observe to learn, not to correct, and it should be a routine. And then again, if you don't, with your team, if you don't have the same understanding of the importance of observation, you could have difficult moments in the management of the classroom, I believe.
Yes, that's true. If the other team members don't understand why you are just standing there or sitting on this chair, then there could be some irritations.
A little bit. You know, you're the one sitting on the chair watching the chaos happen in the corner over there, and the others are like, why is she sitting there? Why isn't she going to help? And no, we're trying to figure out what's going on. Obviously, we'll step in when needed, but to let it actually maybe even play out and watch how the children interact with each other and the environment. And it's so important. And I always laugh because, go ahead.
Suddenly you observe that they managed to find out of the problem. So you could be surprised.
Exactly, rather than the adult always jumping in. Very key point there. We keep saying that all the time. You know, if you don't have 20 minutes to observe every day, then set out 40 minutes for yourself. You know, in other words, if you can't find those 20 minutes, then you really have to reorganize your day to make sure that you do get time to observe, because otherwise, how else are we going to know what the child needs? Where his progress is, what needs to be done in the environment, how they're interacting. There's no way we can know otherwise. It's through that observation. That is our key tool in continuing and keeping the classroom going and the children going.
Yeah, that's totally true. How are they using the environment? Yeah. Which materials do they choose, and which materials they don't choose? This is really interesting sometimes, because you have these beautiful materials and it's just standing there, and why are they using it? What's the problem? And maybe it's just the wrong place, or it's interesting.
Yeah,
you learn a lot by observation, really.
Absolutely. So there's one other thing I was wondering about, if you could say a few words on how you're having studied and understanding the method for 3 to 6. How does that affect now when you, for example, communicate with parents about their children, or communicate what's being done in the classroom, or you get a question from a parent, why are you doing this? Would you like to say a little about that?
Yes, of course. It's made me, it's much easier now for me to explain to the parents why we do what we do, because often the parents maybe have read a bit about Montessori or maybe seen a video or something, but they don't, of course, understand everything we do, and some things seem strange to them, like they did to me when I started. And it's also this. I got more self-confident in explaining, because I have now the knowledge to do it, and I have the space. I know I have read the books, and I can quote Montessori sometimes. It helps. And when you have this parent-teacher conversations about the child's development, they often have questions, and now I can give them the Montessori view on their child's development, and why the child behaves in a certain way. What need is behind this? What need do we have to meet? And And I think also when I stand in front of the parents, maybe of the group of parents, because we have this parent-teacher, what's it called, conference, with all the parents, I have a more professional expertise when I argue for my points. Because maybe they don't agree in what I want to do, and it makes me more self-confident, and I have just more arguments to explain why we do want to involve the children in making the lunch, for example. They want catering, we don't, and that's easy for me to explain now.
I think you just hit that right on the nose. It is something about having that, that confidence, that rock that is just, okay, I know what I'm talking about. I believe in it, and I've seen it work, and therefore I can speak confidently. I can take questions without, freaking out that I don't know the answer. But also, I don't know if you agree with this, but it also is maybe a little bit easier to say, I actually don't know the answer to this because it is different for every child, or because it requires whatever, but I'll find out for you, Whereas usually if you're in that expert role and someone asks you questions, you're supposed to know all the answers. And well, at least for me personally, I found that I can actually, this, I don't know if it's error or not, friendly control to not knowing, friendly attitude to not knowing, where I can actually say, actually, that's a wonderful question. I've never considered that. Thank you for bringing that up. And I'll get back to you on that, So it's not just having to know everything.
It is part of the philosophy, friendly attitude towards error. So we can always have it at the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, it changed when I studied, when I finished, that changed totally for me. I was always, oh no, I can't make errors. I have to succeed. I have to know the answers, and I'm not like that anymore. I'm more relaxed about saying, oh yeah, but the world is not going to end tomorrow if I don't know the answer. I can just check it out, or okay, I did wrong. But it won't happen again because now I learned.
Exactly.
So that was really something that changed my mindset. Maybe you could say about how to approach problems and change, because I'm not afraid anymore of not being able to solve it. But I'll try it, and then.
I keep thinking, what is it that we're actually afraid of when we're afraid of not knowing an answer? We're afraid of other people's opinions of us, really. Yes. Right? Let's bring it back to what it really is about. We're afraid that other people are going to think that we don't know enough, or that we're not good enough to be in the position we're in, or all of these things are going through our mind. But I think being able to confidently speak about, to present the method, to answer questions, and then to be actually able to say, I actually don't know that. That gives a bit more of a human feel to it, as well as thinking that, okay, we aren't all experts, and these are good questions and things that I haven't considered, and I'm going to find out. I think there's such a real moment at that point when we can acknowledge that there is something I actually don't know. It's a scary thing for us because we're so used to the expert needing to know everything or having an answer for every question. But I think you touched on it, was that the personal change that you noticed. I think most people who have done a Montessori training have noticed, Maria Montessori speaks about the spiritual preparation and the deep self-reflection and, rooting out pride and anger and all of these things. And I keep thinking about how it's changed the way our outlook on not just working with children, but on a whole lot of things, because as we in Water Park always say that this is a philosophy. It's a life philosophy. It's not just how we are in a classroom with children. It really is how we change our attitude to the way we interact with people, the way we view children as really contributing members to our little society in our classroom, but also what they will be, the faith in the child that will be, and all of these things, and the way we interact with our staff, our colleagues. There's such a change that happens, not just that you learn a method, but it's really a change in not in personality, but in the way we view things, and the way our life philosophy does change a bit. And I think most who have done a Montessori study would agree. I don't know. Would you agree?
Yeah, that was the first thing I wanted to say about this. That the way of how I view children really changed. When I started to read Montessori, I was so impressed by the respect she has for the child. I really loved that, because I thought I had the respect too, but she has even more, and the trust in the children she has. That is so important for the Montessori philosophy, and that really changed. I'm just more. Yes, they can do it. We have to try. Why shouldn't they be able to do that? And also for me, my personal beliefs maybe changed, and my understanding of pedagogy and learning changed too. So that was, I think I became a better teacher because I can meet the child's needs rather than meeting the child's behavior.
Exactly.
I would say.
That was beautifully said. I want to just repeat that, meeting their needs instead of meeting their behavior, because there's so much that is behind the behavior that has it's a cue to us to be able to say that this child needs something, and rather than react to the behavior that he's exhibiting, to rather take a step back and observe and find out what is it that he actually needs, what is he showing through this behavior. Oh, that's such a key point when working with children of people of any age, shall we say. Yes. But especially in the classroom. I think I would agree 100% on that. That also I do remember when that did change for me also, as seeing these children who have these needs, rather than the children who are just being difficult in the classroom, and being frustrated at that. Yeah.
And it's like you say, it's not just children. It's all people you meet when you are able to think, maybe there is a need behind this behavior. Then you are able to interact maybe in another way with parents, difficult parents, for example. Some parents feel as difficult to talk to, and when you are able to think, maybe there is a need behind, maybe they need more information, or they need just to be feel more safe, or whatever need they have, and then you can meet them in another way. And also as a leader, you can meet your staff in another way when you are able to think, okay, maybe she or he is doing that because there is a need there, and I have to find out what need that is.
Absolutely. So much of the insecurity or fear of not knowing, or there's a lot of behavior that comes out of that. And yes. I think for on any level, like you said, children or adults, it's so important to be able to look past that.
Yeah,
absolutely. So is there any other thoughts before we wrap this up? This has been a wonderful chat. I absolutely love it. I'm very glad that you could join us this evening, Tina.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing about Water Park, because I'm not exactly a digital native, and it was my biggest concern before I started to study. How will I deal with the online part of the training? And it went so well. I mean, I was really skeptical, but it turned out I loved it because it made me so much more flexible to fit it in my schedule.
Yeah.
I worked all the time, 100%, and I just took it when I had time. And also the learning platform was very easy to navigate for a person like me. I was really will I be able, but I was. So I wanted to say that.
Thank you very much. That's very good to hear, because we do we do try to accommodate a lot of different needs and levels of, when you see an online study, it's kind of, but again, we've created a system, both the actual platform, but also the way we set up our criteria and the way we interact with students. It's all, guess what it's based on?
Yes.
It's all based on Montessori principles. So I'm very glad to hear that it is doing what it was meant to do, designed to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really, and I it was so inspiring, because the students were from all over Norway and all over the world, Europe actually. And when I finally met some in workshops, it was so always you got that uplift during and after the workshops, because you got to talk to so many interesting people, and be introduced to so many interesting points of view and different points of view on materials and on the philosophy, and it was really inspiring. I loved that part, the international part, you could say.
Well, Aleksandra, you can agree on that. I think after that, we have a fantastically international group. I think in the last workshop that we ran, we had 17 countries represented in our student group, and it's something amazing to have, like you said, the different viewpoints, the different ways of understanding how to implement these in practice in the different cultures. I mean, there's so many layers, and when you get to see the international level of it, you get to take a step back and like we said, away from these daily routines that I'm so stuck in, and you take a step back and can see but there are other ways of doing things. It's not just exactly the way I learned it when and it's by the recipe, but, actually being able to observe and create a classroom that fits for your students and based on so many different things and viewpoints. Aleksandra, you want to say something about that? Yeah.
Having said that, differences on one side, but on the other, similarities. Suddenly you realize, in Africa, they also are talking about rewards and punishments and freedom and discipline and all these things. And you suddenly realize, I'm a part of something bigger.
Absolutely.
It's not only my kindergarten, it's not only my school. It's a movement. It's something is going on. And I think Montessori is growing. And it's always very good to realize it again and again at the conference, at the workshop, meet people, get inspired, and get this kick again.
Yes, and you feel you are part of a community. It's a weird feeling, but you feel I'm part of something bigger, and this is also something I love with Montessori, is the holistic way of thinking, that everything is connected. Montessori wrote about this, and it was mind-blowing for me to read that. And I really love that Montessori isn't just a thing in Norway or in Italy, but it's global. You can find Montessori schools in Africa and in the States, and I love it. That's really, I have to say that.
Absolutely, and not just that it's global, but the way she writes about the future of humanity. I mean, we often talk about things that are going on in the world, and there's a lot of difficult things. Obviously, we've just lived through almost 2 years of a very difficult time, and there's so much going on, and all we can think of, I mean, we've had this discussion many times between us on a daily basis. Why are we bothering? And then we remember why we're doing all of this. We're going to continue doing what we do, and we're going to do it well, because we know that when we reach teachers who then reach to children, or, we work with children, this is the future. This is how we can shape what Montessori said for world peace. No small goal there. But that, I mean, it just kind of lifts you out. And when you consider that global work that we're doing and how connected we can be then as a global society, and if everyone around is working to bring the children up to the in this way, it will really make a difference. It will really bring change, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I really agree to that. And that's what we do when we work with children. We work with the future and for the future, and that's why I work with children too, because I want to reach out and I want to make the world better. I love it. I just I have to say that I think to work with children is one of the most important jobs you can have, because you are a part of to form the future. Yes, you are a part of it.
Indeed. I know, really just take a moment to just digest that, I'd say, right? But on that wonderful and inspiring note, I'd like to thank you again, Tina, so much for joining us and chatting with us this evening, and Aleksandra, you as well. I always enjoy these conversations. Thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck in your new roles and what you're going to be doing now. And